Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns Creatures series of comedy, fantasy novels, and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today is another. What is it, Sam?
Warlock Wednesday.
Warlock Wednesday. All right. Today we're winding down here. We're going to be covering the Invocation Visions of Distant Realms.
This is a little oddity of an invocation. It's got like so many right words, and if you change the middle or the fourth and fifth word to like a real fourth level spell, I'd be like, this thing slaps. Sure doesn't say that though. So this is an invocation from the player's handbook. We've got a prerequisite of 15th level, and it says you can cast Arcane Eye at will without expending a spell slot. An Arcane Eye is an action to cast, 30-foot range, verbal spell material. For those of you who don't know, bit of bat fur is necessary. It's got concentration up to an hour. You make a magical invisible sensor within range, that range being, what is the range of this thing? 30 feet. Oh boy. That hovers in the air for the duration. You mentally receive visual information from the eye, which is normal vision, and dark vision out to 30 feet. The eye can look at every direction. As an action, you can move it 30 feet. As an action, you spend actions. There's no limit to how far you can move the eye, but it can't enter another point of existence, and a solid barrier blocks its movement. So it's a worse familiar, like in almost every possible way. And you're on an archetype and a class that's had a familiar since 3rd level, and it's a better familiar, and you got options to upgrade that earlier than this. And I'm just kind of like, what? Who wants this?
I don't know. I don't, but I mean, yeah. The 15th level is what gets me.
Yeah,
that's rough.
I would
I might want this earlier.
Probably could be a ritual spell.
I'm sure there are ritual spells that do similar things. I mean, well,
Find Familiar.
Yeah.
It's a ritual spell that does similar things. At a 4th the level. Hypothetically, it doesn't go any distance, so you like just send the eye out and see what happens.
Yeah.
It's invisible, so like scouts dungeons, I guess. But at this point, you've had etherealness as an option that you could take, which lets you scout dungeons through the walls and doors and stuff. Like, I don't know. Even though it's an at-will 4th level spell, I'm like, but it's not a good 4th level spell. It's like a 4th level spell I have never put on a character sheet, nor do I ever intend to put on a character sheet because it's way overcost.
I could see somebody using it as a 4th level spell. It's a lot harder for me to see him doing that at 15th level. Caring about that enough to take this invocation. I guess, like, I don't know, if you're at 15th level, you got all the invocations you really wanted for this character build. Now, like, yeah, I guess an Arcane Eye would come in handy right now. I guess I'll take this. That's not something I'm excited about, though.
When does an Arcane Eye come in handy?
I don't know.
Right? Like, it's a dungeon scouting tool from an older edition is what it reads like to me, right? Like, it reads like an old method of receiving long information from just scouting around a long distance. I don't think that at 15th level I care about that anymore. Like, I think if you're a 15th level character and you're still like breaking into crypts, something's gone wrong, right? Like, this is the kind of tier where plane shift is online, teleport's online. Like, we have 8th level spells at our disposal. And we're like, yes, this invisible eye will matter? It can't go through walls?
So I'm thinking, like, even it says, there's no limit to how far away you can move the eye, but there is, because it only lasts an hour and you can only move it 30 feet in a round. So, I mean, the one thing I was thinking maybe you could use it for was like long distance scouting, like on a distant realms, like it says, but that would be excruciatingly slow and not super far. I mean, you're not talking.
I don't know how useful that information is, right? Like, that's
I don't either.
If you were to say for an hour, I'm going to sprint in a direction and I'm going to tell you everything I see. How is that going to impact most of anything ever, right? It's like most of it's like I'm passing landscape. It's like the Fellowship of the Ring. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter what they really saw on the way to Mordor. It just matter that they walked for like 12 hours through New Zealand, right? Like, the the journey isn't exactly riveting to see. You don't change any information based off seeing the route ahead of you.
Well, if you see like a big army advancing, or and then you could go sneak around in the army and see like, all right, what kind of spells are the wizards preparing, or what, I don't know.
Okay.
Get a idea of what the siege is going to be like.
So as scouting for like big enemy parties, sure.
I'm stretching,
Yeah.
doing my best here.
I think you hit that's probably where like its best use case is like trying to scope out what you need to bring to counter specific elements. I still am not gonna want to put that on my character sheet 99% of games. So I don't think it's gonna
No.
come up in 99% of games. Like you have to
Ah,
know where they are ahead of time, because otherwise you're like sending an eye out blindly all the time, and you're spending your actions doing it, right? So like you can't
yeah.
dedicate a lot of other time to doing other things. You're just like focused, walking around kind of while you're focused, as this eye is just sprinting in a direction, and you're like not actionable. It's not like you can, take actions to do things while your eye is sprinting in a direction.
Well, you could sprint the opposite direction and
You
get
can
a little
walk,
more
you can't
time to plan.
dash.
All right. Okay.
But yeah,
Um.
this is such a
Yeah.
weird little like it's something that beats a lot of these other invocations that are
Yeah.
nothing.
I'm always a fan of at will, but yeah, that's another thing though. I mean, I have stretched my imagination to the limits to find a use for this, and that means at will becomes even less important.
Yeah. There just aren't circumstances where you want to use it, so it
Mhm.
doesn't justify spending its time on your sheet. Like, if you put this at 7th level, does it change our opinion of it that much?
I don't know. I mean,
Maybe?
yeah. I mean, at least you'll get more uses of it. For the
Yeah,
instances where an arcane eye would be useful, there will hopefully be some more windows. But by the
agreed.
time you're 15th level, then you're getting toward the end of the campaign here.
Yeah, especially in more like a high magic setting. This thing isn't exactly that hard to detect. Like, it's just an invisible eye. So, like, any kind of magic detection notices it and then can respond to it. But, like, at 15th level, at 7th level, I think there's a good amount of feeling like that's not going to occur that much. But at 15th level, if you're dealing with like powerful enemies, they're going to have things like True Sight. They're going to have things like that defend against the illusions that have been available since 3rd level, right? There's going to be ample countermeasures to basic fundamental magic at that stage that asks players to have larger challenges and use better tools. That makes this a lot worse because it's just a 4th level spell.
Well, that, and
It's fully
if they
overpowered.
see an arcane eye, they know somebody's spying on them. If they see a familiar, they might just think, "Oh, there's a bird."
There's a squirrel,
Yeah,
but it's a magic squirrel.
magic squirrels could be around.
Magic world, right?
Yeah.
And the cost is just where I'm still like, I think there's already regularly replaceable tools for this that are cheaper and that are better and that do more than just be a scouting tool, right? And for that reason, I'm just kind of like next week we're going to talk about one that just removes any need for this whatsoever. It's just like a strict upgrade over this in every possible way with no prereqs beyond a specific pact boon, right? So like I don't see any real reason for Vision of Mistral to make its way into your character sheet. But then again, it's like if you're in a campaign where it is big tactical scope, you're looking at campaigns across large distances. I think that's kind of important. Is like you care to know what's happening good distance away from you without physically having to be there. If you have a lot of downtime and prep, and you're looking to like if you're the kind of character that would say in your downtime and have a big moment of like there's a gameplay session that is information gathering, and this is okay, I'm using my Vision of Distant Realms to just live in this other area that's like a 45-minute run from me and just scout on it constantly and just absorb information from it. Maybe. I just think that's almost no tables. And like that, I having a hard time giving this above a 1, but it does do something. So like, is this a 2? I don't really know. I don't think it's good.
Maybe if you send it high enough, just straight up in the air, you get a good layout of what's going on all around you.
It only has normal vision and dark vision out to 30 feet.
Ah, never mind. All right, yeah. I'll agree with your 2, and I'll feel generous about it. Yeah, this if ever there was 1.5 territory, this would be it. But
Yeah, this
2 it
really
is.
is just technically something, but it's barely that.
All right. Well, that was Visions of Distant Realms. Um, thank you, Sam. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Let us know what you think down in the comments. Yeah, people. I'm curious about this one. People will find uses for things that we think are utter garbage, and
I am too. I'm also interested, like, have you played in campaigns where this kind of surveillance did feel very impactful? Like, even at 7th level, just regular Arcana, I'd love to hear about that.
yeah, and keep in mind the alternatives. All right. Well, that's it. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, informative, or entertaining, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button below. You needn't smash it, a gentle tap will suffice. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. And make sure you check out the links in the description, where you'll find my Caverns Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels, Sam's full review of the spell, and other fun things.